We'll start in just a minute. I'm waiting for some future people to arrive in. Be just a minute. Good evening and welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Augusta Historic Preservation Commission. The Historic Preservation Commission hears and makes decisions on applicants of certificate of appropriate in accordance with the powers granted under Section 7, Chapter 4 of the Augusta, Georgia Code. In making the decision on a COA, the Commission may consider but shall not be bound by precedent. Each case shall be decided upon its merits, applying to the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the applicable design guidelines. If a quorum is not present at the regular meeting of the Commission, a special meeting shall be held within 14 calendar days with such scheduled meeting. Any person affected by the Commission's decision may file an appeal with the Augusta Commission. The meeting will be conducted in accordance with the Commission's bylaws, rules, and procedures, and the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order, unless otherwise directed by the majority of the Commission in session at the time. The Commission encourages participation in the hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the Commission within the allotted time. But the Commission asks that the public comments be brief, on subject, and directed to the Commission and not any individual group. Ms. Delaney?
Yes, sir. Welcome to the February Augusta Historic Preservation Commission meeting. As far as additions and deletions to the agenda, at this time, sir, we have, with regards to item number 8, which is a COA 25-13 for 251 Broad Street, the applicant is requesting that this item be withdrawn, so we would be looking for a motion to remove it from this month's agenda. And in addition to that, item number 10, COA 25-14. This is 802 Green Street. The applicant notified us this morning at about 7:54 a.m. that they would not be able to be here, and they were asking for a postponement in regards to 802 Green Street, and we are recommending approval of postponement for both of those, and we would need a motion in that effect, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Delaney. Do I hear any, I need a motion from the Commission?
I make a motion.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Properly seconded. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We need a show of hands, Ms. Delaney.
Yes, sir. All in favor, that is unanimous for the postponement of item number 8 and item number 10 on this particular February meeting. We will go from top to bottom, sir, if that's okay?
Yes, ma'am. Let me want to say one thing. Ladies and gentlemen, who are here for the 802 Green Street property? How many of you? Raise your hand. I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and dispense with this right now so y'all can go home and have dinner and enjoy yourself. And we'll let you know how it goes from here. But thank you so much for your interest in historic preservation of Augusta. Thank you. Ryan, next case.
All right. Our first item for discussion this evening is COA 2506. This is a petition by Shannon Walsh for a certificate of appropriateness at 2150 Battle Row, located within the Somerville Historic District. The request is to remove existing wood picket fencing to be replaced with ornamental aluminum fencing placed behind existing brickwork. Here are some photos of the subject property along Battle Row. You can see there the current wood fencing in its damaged condition. Here's some more angles of the fencing. And here's a look at the proposed material by the applicant. All right. This is a 1.74 acre property situated near the western terminus of Battle Row at Millage Road. The property features a 6,671 square foot home originally built per property records in 1781, along with 2 outbuildings that date to the late 19th century. There have been no recent petitions brought to the HPC regarding this property. The petitioner is requesting removal of damaged wood picket fencing along the front of the property. The pickets are mounted atop brickwork. Ornamental aluminum fencing would replace the pickets, but they would be installed just behind the brickwork. This is due to the fact that, per the petitioner, new fencing could not be secured on top of the brick without causing extensive damage to the brick. Replacing the pickets in kind would require demolition and rebuilding of the brickwork. A rendering of the new fencing material and photos of the damaged wood are attached with this report. The property is situated along Battle Row in the northeast corner of the Somerville district, and it is sandwiched between larger lots along Millage Road to the north and west, and smaller lots along Gary Street and Hickman Road to the east. The proposal is in keeping with some Somerville design guidelines, but is out of sync with the guideline to retain traditional fences, walls, and hedges, or replace with a similar design. The property is zoned R1, one-family residential. There are no zoning issues presented by this petition. Commentary from Historic Augusta on the petition. They write, fences and walls are covered in the Somerville Design Guidelines, pages 60 to 63. The first bullet point states the following: retain traditional fences, walls, and hedges. When a portion of the fence needs replacing, salvage original parts for a prominent location from a less prominent location if possible. Match old fencing in material, height, and detail. If this is not possible, use a simplified design of similar materials and height. It does not appear that the proposed new fence will match the original in material or detail and will result in a greatly altered design and appearance. The existing fence is an iconic fence design in the Somerville Historic District and is highly visible on the street. Placing a new fence behind the brick retaining wall will change the character of the structure. We would urge repairing and replicating the damaged fence on top of the retaining wall in order to preserve the original character and materials. And a staff recommendation at this time is to approve the petitions subject to any conditions as the commission deems appropriate. That will conclude staff presentation.
Is the applicant present? Is the applicant present? Do we postpone?
Can I make a motion to postpone?
You can have a motion to postpone? Second. Have a second? All in favor, raise your hand. Next applicant, Brian.
All right. Our second petition is COA 2507. This is a petition by Kirby Yon on behalf of Episcopal Day School and the Augusta-Richmond County Public Library for a certificate of appropriateness at 2248 and 2260 Walton Way, located within the Somerville Historic District. The request is to replace a 4-foot-tall wrought iron fence with a 6-foot-tall brick wall. Here are some photos of the current wrought iron fence. And a look at the school. And here's a look at the proposed brick wall. All right. This petition concerns an approximately 4.55 acre property that constitutes the majority of the campus of Church of the Good Shepherd, which is also home to Episcopal Day School. There are no recent petitions to the HPC relating to this property. The petitioner is requesting on behalf of the church and school to replace a wrought iron fence which separates the church campus from the campus of the Appleby Library, a branch of the Augusta Richmond County Public Library System. A small portion of the church campus, which includes the fence, is within the boundaries of the library property. The church, therefore, has leased that portion from the library since 1985. The lease was amended in September of 2024 to renew that agreement until 2049. In that amended lease, the parties agreed that the church, quote, may construct and install a masonry wall along the line of the lease area where it adjoins the property used by the Appleby Library, which wall shall be consistent with the aesthetics of the masonry walls existing on the church's property and constructed at the sole expense of the church. The petitioner therefore requests to replace the wrought iron fence with a masonry wall 6 feet in height. Details of the wall and its location, along with a copy of the lease agreement, are attached with this report. The property is situated along Walton Way between Johns Road and Millage Road. A cluster of religious institutions are located in the near vicinity. The wall, as it is proposed, broadly conforms to relevant Somerville design guidelines. The property is zoned R1, one-family residential. There are no zoning issues presented by the petition. Comments from Historic Augusta. Fences and walls are covered in the Somerville design guidelines on pages 60 to 63. We note that the existing fence is not visible from Walton Way and is nearly invisible from Johns Road. It is also not a historic fence. The proposed brick wall design, height, and materials finished in brick appear to comply with the design guidelines. And staff recommend approval of the petition as it is presented. That concludes presentation.
Mr. Chairman,
The applicant present?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, and maybe it's a question for the attorney. Since I have ties with the Richmond County Library, do I have to excuse myself?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have
Attorney?
anything to add to the request?
I don't think so. I think Ryan covered it.
Is anyone present that has any comments? Going once? Any request for comments? Twice? Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion for approval and a motion for second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay.
And we have, okay.
All right. Our third item for discussion is COA 2508. This is a petition by Nathan Vick on behalf of Brendan Steffies for a certificate of appropriateness at 613, 619, and 631 Broad Street, located within the Downtown Historic District. The request is to rehabilitate the property and install exterior stairways for emergency egress. Here are some photos of the subject property on Broad Street. And to look at the plans presented by the petitioner. And we'll go back to these as necessary. All right, this petition pertains to 3 properties totaling just over 1 acre in the 600 block of Broad Street. 2 of the 3 properties feature a 2-story masonry building, each of which was built around 1890 according to property records. The buildings were home at one time, respectively, to a Buick car dealership and a supply store. There have been no recent petitions brought to the HPC regarding these properties. The petitioner is requesting approval to rehabilitate the buildings for an adaptive reuse project to redevelop the buildings for apartments. The scope of HPC's review in this case is limited to the modifications to the site and to the building exteriors. An overview of the project follows. Broadly, the approach is to repair and restore features wherever possible, making replacements where necessary. The project is designated for historic tax credit approval. The storefront at the front of 631 Broad Street will be restored, while the storefront at 619 Broad Street will be removed and replaced with aluminum and glass and matching historic doors. We can look at the elevations for those in a minute. New storefronts will also be added at the rear of each building. New aluminum-clad casement windows and a new door are to be installed on the right side of the building at 619. New doors and windows are also proposed on the side of each building facing the alley. The buildings at 631 and 619 Broad are separated with an alley. There is a new steel staircase proposed within the alley to provide second-floor access to each building. And an additional exterior staircase is proposed at the rear of the 619 Broad Street building. And a new aluminum canopy is proposed at the rear of 631 Broad to match historic photographs. The property is situated in the 600 block of Broad Street, anchored by the skyscraper at 699 Broad Street. The block features offices, a hotel, and a city-owned building within the median at 600 Broad Street. The project broadly conforms to relevant downtown design guidelines. The property is zoned B2, that's a general business zoning. There are no zoning issues presented as a result of this petition. The B2 zone does have a limit on residential density, and this may result either in modifying the floor plans or there to be some sort of density variance, but staff has no reason to anticipate that this would require any alterations to the exterior rehab associated with this project. Comments from Historic Augusta. This project is a certified rehabilitation that has already been reviewed by both the Georgia Historic Preservation Division and the National Park Service for the purpose of approving proposed work to convert these two vacant structures into apartments. Approval by both agencies certifies that the proposed work, including the exterior stairways, comply with the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. Although the downtown design guidelines do not give specific guidance for this type of addition to historic downtown commercial buildings, we believe the minimalist character of the metal stairs provide a good solution to provide egress and ingress and to meet required life safety codes in order to adaptively reuse these two historic buildings. We note that the stairways will be located on the rear of the buildings and in the narrow alleyway between the two buildings and not on the front. And staff recommend approval of this petition as it is presented. That concludes presentation.
Is the applicant present?
Nathan Vick, 670 Broad Street. I don't have anything to add. Ryan covered everything pretty thoroughly. And Historic Augusta added the statements about how it is going to be a tax credit project. They are looking to get state and federal tax credits on the project. So, you have anything to add?
Brendan Cephas, don't have any to add. Thank you, Nathan.
Any comments from the audience? Going once? Any comments? Okay, any questions from the commission?
I just have a quick question. It was stated that I lost the place. About the access on the rear facade. Is that a primary access or is that just an emergency access?
That is the emergency access off the back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
National Park Service has signed off on everything thus far that we've seen here.
Yes, we actually went through a couple conversations with them and adjusted the exterior windows to make sure they were happy with everything.
Any further comments from the commission? May I have a motion?
Motion to
Motion, do I
approve.
have a second?
I second it.
I have a second. I have a proper first motion, second motion. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Move on, Ryan.
All right. All right, our next item for discussion is COA 2509. This is a petition by Jason and Mary May for a certificate of appropriateness at 1125 Highland Avenue, located within the Somerville Historic District. The request is to make repairs to a brick wall and driveway and to replace the front steps, adding a step to decrease steepness. Here's some photos of the subject property. Here's the driveway. You can see the stairway right there. Look at the brick wall at the front of the property, and here's an example of the proposed, or something resembling the proposed concrete for the driveway. This is a 0.58 acre property situated along the west side of Highland Avenue between Hillcrest and Bellevue Avenue. It features a 4,750 square foot home dating per property records to 1915. There are no recent petitions to the HPC regarding this property. The petitioner is requesting approval for repairs to the front of the property. The steps at the front of the house have cracked and are in unsafe condition. In replacing the steps, the petitioner requests an additional step to make the ascent less steep. Staff are working with the petitioner on a sketch of those new steps. Materials would be in kind. The petitioner also requests to repave the driveway with concrete. No new impervious surfaces would be created. And finally, the brick wall at the front of the property will be repaired in kind. Photos of the current condition are attached. The property is located along Highland Avenue at the western boundary of the Somerville District. This corridor is marked by single-family parcels with a wide range of sizes. The project generally conforms to Somerville design guidelines, and the property is zoned R1, one-family residential. There are no zoning issues presented by this petition. Comments from Historic Augusta: driveways, off-street parking, and walks are covered in the Somerville design guidelines on pages 58 to 60. It appears that the COA proposal is to replace the concrete driveway, walks, and steps in kind, and to repair the brick and stone retaining wall along the sidewalk. If that is the correct interpretation of the application, it will meet the design guidelines. And staff at this juncture would recommend approval subject to any conditions as the commission deems appropriate. That concludes presentation.
Is the applicant present?
Nothing to add.
Do you have anything to add to the presentation?
Sir.
Is there anyone in the audience that has a comments to make about this project? Give your name and address for the record.
Jason and Mary May, 1125 Highland Avenue.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, do you agree with Historic Augusta's interpretation? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're just covering existing services,
right.
not expanding anything at all?
Correct. And if we can repair the steps without adding the steps, then we'll probably just repair them. But that was the thought, is if we go to repair it and need an extra step, we'd rather get it okay.
But no additional surfaces other than what is already there, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
Can we ask one question? It's
Yes, ma'am.
driveway, the half-circle driveway, and going to the back where there's a parking pad. It is existing, we would just concrete.
So just
You're just replacing concrete. Everything's in kind, okay. And the only add is maybe a step to the front, correct?
Correct. I mean, we are going from gravel, because it's gravel, we're going to gravel to concrete, and we thought that had to be approved.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's a little bit different matter then, right?
I mean, I get,
Yes.
so what is is it existing concrete that's on site or existing gravel that's on site?
Gravel, sorry, that's why we were asking.
Okay, well I was curious why this wasn't staff approved, but that's the answer. We have a gravel driveway that's now going to concrete. And that's why it's in front of us now.
Yes, it's a matter of the gravel to concrete and a potential extra step.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, is that what the staff was asking for in your comments here? What I just heard?
Yes.
Okay.
So concrete driveway now, asphalt to concrete, potential one step to make the descent less steep.
Okay. Thank you.
Indeed, it's not asphalt to concrete, it's gravel to concrete, correct? So it's a earth to concrete, which initially, we usually have some restrictions on that and need to see a detailed plan. Usually we do like a brick apron or something to break the concrete up a little bit. I mean, it's possible, but usually we advise that you sort of break up the concrete a little bit.
That was our plan, was to do a brick apron from the road.
Uh-huh.
Concrete.
And did I miss it, or is it in the plan? Is there a detail?
I think it is, but it may be that, I thought so, but it may be that we talked about it and didn't have it in the render.
I didn't see it, and it was not purposely misleading, but it was worded as such that it sounded like you're replacing concrete with concrete, and that's not the case. I think in that case, I, for one, would like to see a more detailed plan of what the new interpretation would be, and with the brick apron, a rendering of that.
I've been having difficulty getting people to do that.
Yeah,
That's understandable, yeah.
It would be where there's concrete now on the approach. That would be the decorative stamped concrete.
Just my opinion, but to be fair to everyone that's gone before us, we've always had to have a detailed drawing of what it's going to look like exactly in that neighborhood. And I understand very well how difficult it is to get someone out right now. But surely there'd be someone that could at least do a rendering, if not the actual work. But to get a rendering, I would think would be a reasonable expectation. But I'll leave it to you all. That's just my.
Have you had any communication with anybody that might be able to help you with a little sketch or something, just so we understand exactly what's going there?
I mean, I have it in words, I don't have it in a picture. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
I will work on that.
No, just so we understand what we're approving, that's kind of, I think, John's concern here. If you were just to even maybe take like a satellite image, go to Google Earth, take a straight down, you have a tree in front of your house, maybe that might, but just kind of, maybe just some bullet points showing, hey, this is where we want concrete. If you can doodle a little line saying, I'm thinking about this is where I want my stamped concrete to be more decorative. We don't want you to go pay a drafter, an architect, or an engineer to do anything crazy, because I don't need that. I don't think anybody else needs that. If we were to ask you if we could postpone to this next month so we could get a little sketch from you, is that putting you guys in a predicament with your contractor that's doing this work?
It'll be what it'll be, but we'll
Okay.
try to get that to you.
All right.
Yeah, it does, to Nathan's point, it doesn't have to be an architectural approved drawing. It could be any draftsman in the office should be able to do it in a pretty quick manner. Just to give us an idea of what we're working with.
sure.
And to save you time in the long run.
Yeah.
Have to come down and address yourself. Give your address and name.
trying to drag this out, trying to help. I'm John Williams, 1431 Glen Avenue, live nearby, love the white color, thank you. If you have a plat, any kind of survey of your property, you could take that, blow it up, draw on it, is that, be a lot cheaper? Okay. So that's all, thank y'all. Good idea.
Just,
Do you have, are,
I know, and I know it's, I apologize. I mean, like, I feel bad, like, asking them to come. But what this is gonna do, we have to do it for everybody. And I think, yeah.
are you comfortable with a continuance of this project?
Fine.
Yeah, we'll make it, it'll be fine, we'll make it work.
Okay.
Commissioners, do you have a motion for continuance? Make a recommendation.
We would like to amend our recommendation
Yes, ma'am.
for this particular project, based on the information that is available to us. We would like to recommend that the application come back before you and that it be re-advertised as a driveway replacement as opposed to a repair, because this will be a replacement. So our recommendation is for a postponement to the April meeting so that they can bring back a design concept for the driveway replacement. And that concludes staff's recommendation. We do recommend approval of the stair replacement at this time, though, sir. And that concludes staff's updated recommendation.
Gentlemen, I have a motion.
Mr. Lane, did you mean March?
I'm sorry, I said April.
Yeah, you
I
said April.
apologize. March. I apologize. March.
Mr. Laney, we don't have to have two separate motions with this, do we? It can be in one with the conditions.
From a practicality standpoint, they're going to want to do the stairs probably at the exact same time they do the driveway. Just the order of operations kind of thing. So I think, I just wanted to be clear that we still stand with the recommendation for approval of the stairs being redone. So, but the overall motion would be for postponement to the March meeting.
Okay.
And we would re-advertise it as driveway replacement.
All right, Commissioner, I have a motion.
Motion to approve as stated by Ms. Delaney.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much.
All right. Our next item is COA 2510. This is a petition by Sarah and William Owen for a certificate of appropriateness at 2513 Henry Street, located within the Somerville Historic District. The request is to replace dirt portions of a driveway with concrete and to install a concrete patio in the rear yard. So here are some photos of the subject property. And you can see here the driveway as it currently exists. And here are some of the plans presented by the petitioner. We'll go back to these. All right, this is a 0.28 acre property situated along the north side of Henry Street between Montesano and Fleming Avenue. It features a 1,737 square foot home dating per property records to 1936. There are no recent petitions regarding this property. The petitioner is requesting approval to modify the driveway apron on the property by converting it to concrete from dirt. A portion of the brick drive would also be converted. This is requested to prevent water from entering the driveway. They also seek approval to install a 544 square foot concrete patio at the rear of the home. The property is located along Henry Street at the northern boundary of the Somerville District. This corridor is marked by single-family parcels with a wide range of sizes. The project broadly conforms to relevant Somerville guidelines. The property is zoned R1A, one-family residential. There are no zoning issues presented by this petition. Comments from Historic Augusta. Driveways, off-street parking, and walks are covered in the Somerville Design Guidelines on pages 58 to 60. The COA application calls for pouring a concrete apron to connect the existing brick driveway with the street, as well as to pour a new concrete parking pad in the rear of the house. The proposed rock salt finish for both is not addressed in the guidelines, but appears to be in harmony with the character of the neighborhood. And staff recommend approval of the petition, subject to any conditions as the commission desires. That concludes presentation.
Applicant present. Please state your name and address.
William Owen, 2513 Henry Street.
Do you have anything to add to the request?
Not entirely. Our ideal scenario is to use the brick in kind of that back portion of the apron behind the dirt, just to line the driveway, just to kind of match standards with Historic Augusta. Our ideal is to use those bricks mainly just to match the bricks that are already existing in the tire tracks that go further into the property, and not to use new bricks, just to kind of remain in the same character as it is right now.
Any comments from the audience? Do we have any comments? Commissioners, you have questions?
I do. So this portion here at the front, that's the part that you're going to put the concrete in, and then you're going to pull those bricks out and use it to replace some of the bricks going further up the driveway. Is that what you're saying? I'm not.
Close, yes, ma'am. So those bricks that we see a little further back in the photo will be used as kind of an outline of the driveway. And so it will be concrete from the curb all the way back with those same bricks.
Oh, and the bricks would be
hopefully
like
being repurposed.
framing the driveway.
Correct.
Okay.
And mainly the dirt that was kind of up at the front has been there since we've owned the home for a few years now. And we graciously asked the city, and they came out pretty quickly, and we're going to install asphalt curbing to prevent more street water runoff that just comes down our driveway. But we really wanted to keep it in the appropriateness of what the character of the home is already. So that's
Okay, I was trying to get a picture in my mind what you're talking about. Thank you.
Can you roughly give an estimate of what percentage of the brick driveway you are retaining?
I would have to say 60% of it, if I had to put a percentage on it.
Just to clarify, it will not be an all-concrete driveway. You will retain
Correct.
50 to 60% of the original brick.
Correct, yes, yes, sir. Retaining the brick tracks that go down all the way to the bottom of the house.
Any further questions from commissioners? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? I can't make one, guys, ladies.
I make a motion
You make a motion, what?
to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve. I have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more.
All right, our next item for discussion, a COA 2511. This is a petition by Mark Coburn on behalf of 1016 Broad LLC for a certificate of appropriateness at 1018 Broad Street, located within the downtown historic district. The request is to install an illuminated aluminum raceway sign above the front door of the building. Here is a look at the subject property's facade along Broad Street. There's a look further out from the median. And there's the neighboring, sort of the twin commercial property at 1016. And here is a rendering of the proposed signage on the building. This is a .32 acre property situated along the south side of Broad Street near the southwest corner of Broad and 10th. It features a 5,900 square foot building dating to 1886, which houses 2 retail spaces. There are no recent petitions to the HPC regarding this property. The petitioner is requesting to erect signage reading "Corner Store" over one of the 2 retail spaces, this one being addressed 1018 Broad Street. This signage was previously approved for the retail space at 1006 Broad Street in petition COA 2448. The signage is built with yellow channel letters, each 18 inches high, internally lit with LED lighting. The letters span 13 feet wide in total and are affixed above the front entryway. Land use in the 1000 block of Broad Street is characteristic of downtown Augusta, with first floor storefronts and upper floor residential and office spaces. The predominance of structures in this vicinity, including the property in question, contribute to the downtown historic district. The proposed signage meets some downtown signage guidelines, but does conflict with some others. The property is zoned B2, that's general business. There are no zoning issues presented as a result of this petition. Comments from Historic Augusta. Signage is covered in the downtown design guidelines on pages 65 to 68. Although the proposed width of the raceway sign at 13 feet is acceptable, the height appears to be greater than the height of the sign band where it will be mounted. The design guidelines for wall-mounted signs, item 1, states, "Wall-mounted signs should complement the architecture of the building. Whenever possible, wall-mounted signs should be placed in the building's sign band and should be sized so that they do not obscure existing architectural details." Although under sign sizes, item 2, the guidelines state that flat wall signs should not exceed 18 inches in height. In this case, it would be more appropriate to follow the guideline under lettering size, which says average height of letters and symbols should be no more than 12 inches on wall signs. Since this sign will be backlit letters mounted on a raceway, we believe the letter should not exceed the height of the sign band where they will be mounted in order to comply with the guidelines. Currently, staff recommend approval of the petition subject to any conditions as needed. That concludes presentation.
Is the applicant present? State your name and address.
Mark Coburn, 4468 Dogwood Way, Evans, Georgia.
Do you have anything to add to the petition?
No, sir, I do not.
Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments? Commissioners, questions?
Based on recommendations, would you consider reducing the height of the letters to fit in the sign band?
I would, yes, I would if it was mandatory. I would like the bigger sign, just, it helps drive people to us.
So I guess I want to make sure you understand. Based on the renderings that we're seeing, the size of the letters is bigger than the sign band that it's presented on, would you be willing to reduce the letter height to fit the sign band?
If it was mandatory, I would.
If it was mandatory.
Yeah, I would prefer to keep it the size it is, yes.
And what is the height of the sign band? Is it 12 inches or is it 15 or?
I'm not really sure. I didn't personally measure it.
Nathan, did you have in mind just meeting the dimensions of the sign band, whatever that happens to be?
I think that'd be more appropriate.
Me too.
Just the fact that it's kind of hanging down into the opening and going up just seems a little out of scale for that area of the building.
Leon?
Mr. Langley, I noticed in your comments say that 1006 and 1008, is that the Pineapple Restaurant and the Sasso Restaurant, or is it I believe that's the smoke shop?
Yeah, so 1006 Broad Street is the smoke shop.
Is it smoke shop?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I don't recall their sign. I look at it all the time, of course. I think this one is bigger than,
Those signs are
Yeah.
mounted on the canopy
okay.
rather than the sign band of the building. The smoke shop are
What's
mounted
that?
on top of a canopy.
And the Pineapple, I think theirs is mounted, though, isn't it?
But you're amenable
Yeah.
to reducing the size to conform to the sign ban.
Yeah, if necessary, yes.
Any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve with the sign letters conforming to the height of the sign band, whatever that works out to be.
Do I have a second to this motion?
I'm reading this. Can someone describe the size band? Ms. Lane, do you have that? Eric, do you have?
No, sir, I don't have the sign band
Okay.
with height.
Do I have a second? You have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay. I'd like to be read.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so was it approved or it's approved at a smaller?
Approved at the smaller size.
And that doesn't necessarily mean 12 inches, that just means the height of the sign band.
the
I'm
height
more
of the-
concerned with proportion than the actual height. So
Okay.
if your sign band 14 or 15, you can go up to that, but just whatever that sign band works out to be.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you say sign band, you're just saying the green part below the windows?
Yes.
Okay. What if we move the sign up to where it would cover the windows? Would that change your decision at all?
I think it would still pose the same problem out of proportion. But I'm not concerned with it going to 12 to 14 to 15 if the sign band is up high. Since we don't have the measurements, it's hard to say, but just keep it within to match the sign band, the height.
Okay.
It would be fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Chairman, can I see those in favor, raise your hand high? All in favor? Okay. Okay, any opposed? All right. Okay, all right. So we have one opposed. The motion passes. All right, thank you.
Ryan, next case.
All right. Okay, our next item for discussion, COA 2512. This is a petition by Amy Sutherland Nesbitt for a certificate of appropriateness at 2409 William Street, located within the Somerville Historic District. The request is to approve a new metal roof which has been partially installed. Here is a look at the subject property with the new metal roof installed. Here are photos of the roof material used before and after. We also have those samples available in the room that we can pass around in just a moment. This is a 0.46 acre property situated along the north side of William Street between Fleming Avenue and Catherine Street. It features a 3,210 square foot home dating per property records to 1928. There are no recent petitions regarding this property. The petitioner is requesting approval to keep a metal roof on the home, which was recently installed without COA approval. The roofer obtained a building permit from the city to replace the previous standing seam metal roof after it sustained damage in Hurricane Helene. This permit was granted in error as the property was not flagged for location within the Somerville Historic District. This error was discovered by HPC staff when the homeowner applied for a staff-level COA to approve the roofing material. At that time, the roof was in the process of being installed. The roofing permit was subsequently canceled. Having small ridges within each metal seam, staff does not have discretion to approve the new material. The property is located along Williams Street at the northern boundary of the Somerville District. This corridor is marked by single-family parcels with a wide range of sizes. Generally, homes along Williams Street are among the newer builds that contribute to the historic district. Page 82 of the Somerville Design Guidelines states the following: when replacing a roof, match original materials as closely as possible. When the exact material is not available, attempt to match pattern, color, and size as closely as possible. One thing to note in relation to this petition is that the previous metal roof was only installed per the petitioner around 20 years ago, and that the home originally was roofed with asbestos shingles. Whether or not the new material is a sufficient match to the previous roof, there is precedent for the roofing material on this home being changed. The property is zoned R1, one-family residential, and there are no zoning issues presented by this petition. Comments from Historic Augusta. Roofs for residential rehabilitation are covered in the Somerville Design Guidelines on pages 81 to 82. Item 2 states, when replacing a roof, match original materials as closely as possible. When the exact material is not available, attempt to match pattern, color, and size as closely as possible. The example shown appears to be more appropriate for a commercial application, having pencil ribs and wide shoulders. Ideally, metal replacement roofing should be flat panels between 12 and 16 inches wide and no wider than the existing panels. The rib height should be about 1.5 inches tall, and the surface of the panels should be smooth and not striated. In the interest of avoiding hardship to the property owner, and given that the HPC does not set precedent in their decisions, staff would recommend approval of this petition. And that concludes presentation.
Is the applicant present? Please state your name and address.
I'm Amy Sutherland Nesbitt at 2409 Williams Street, and my husband Douglas.
Douglas Nesbitt, 24.
Do you have anything to add to the application? Comments?
No, sir. We thought we were going to get a staff approval when we were working on it, and the builder had already done gotten the permit, so we were supposed to lean.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Any comments? All right, commissioners, do we have questions? Any questions?
You said you thought you were going to get a staff approval? Sorry, go ahead. No. You stated you thought you were going to get a staff approval. Did you get a staff approval? Did they indicate to you that you would?
So I guess I wasn't familiar with the process, but as they were putting the roof on, I called a number of times, and Douglas had called a number of times, and we never got a call back. So I finally got a flyer in the mail, that said I needed that. So I brought down a check for staff approval, trying to jump through the right hoops. But I guess the building permit did not trigger this. So.
And when was this? When did it start? When were you trying to get a staff approval?
I want to say they started in January.
Yeah.
Post-hurricane.
The roof peeled up. It was flopping like a sardine can. So we had it jury rigged down with some ropes tying it down, and but the roof cap had been knocked off by a tree.
Well, I mean, the current state we're living in, cleanup after the hurricane, it's a different set of circumstances than we normally deal with. Normally, we would say that it's not appropriate for a residential house. And you can get, if you can't afford standing seam, there's a 5V roof that we do approve that would be just as inexpensive as this. However, given the circumstances and you had to have a roof and it was damaged, I think that warrants a different consideration. It's not, we're not bound by precedent.
Sure.
But in this case, I don't think that's unreasonable. But we normally would not have approved it under normal circumstances, if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Which, is this what's on the house now, or this?
The white.
The white is on your home, the house now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is what you want to replace?
It's been replaced.
Oh, it's,
That's an example of the old,
this is the old?
original.
Or this is the original?
That is original.
Not original to the house.
That's the roof that's.
What's on it?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Cut myself out.
Further questions from the commission?
Ryan, there was a building, a permit was pulled for this project for the roofer.
Correct.
I make a motion, we approve. There may have been an error in the city that allowed something to get through. It's been installed. There's worse roofs than that.
Yeah, if you had to
The
pick a
seams
commercial
are
roof, you pick
small.
the least offensive commercial roof. It's
Yeah.
not that noticeable.
I mean,
Sorry.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second. All right, we have a motion to approve and a second properly. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you.
All right. We'll now entertain a motion for approval of minutes from the evidentiary hearing regarding 802 Green Street held on January 16th.
We've had, I hope everyone had a chance to read the minutes. They're quite extensive. Do we have any questions or do we have any corrections of the presentation of these minutes?
Carla, question.
Question?
There are people that made comments during that meeting that are no longer on this commission. I can't review their comments or exactly what they said word for word. I think it should be reviewed by them. Can't do anything about it, right? I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve these minutes. Do I have a second to the minutes? The motion.
Second.
You have a second. All right, I have a motion to approve and a second properly seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Have you got all the count?
I've got 7 votes in the affirmative, and yeah, any opposed?
Any opposed? What about abstentions? Any abstain?
I wasn't in the meeting, so I.
We have an abstention with Mr. Ratson.
Okay. And we'll skip through all this. And we'll entertain a motion for approval of minutes from the regular meeting held on January 23rd.
Commissioners, y'all had a chance to review these? I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second to the motion? Have a second to the motion. All in favor, raise your hand. Next item.
Do you have any extensions or?
And at this moment, we'll entertain any nominations for the election of a vice chair to serve as vice chair of the HPC for the remainder of 2025.
All right, we're entertaining a motion. Do I have a motion for someone that would like to be vice chair? To be,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ms. Myra Hobbs as vice chair.
all right, I have a nomination for Myra Hobbs.
I respectfully decline.
Okay. Round two. Do we have a motion for a vice chair?
Leon Maven.
Leon Mabin. I have a motion from Leon Mabin. Do I have another another nomination? Going once? Going twice? Do we have, I have a motion, we close the nominations? All right, we're so second to not closing the nominations? I got a motion to close the nominations. Second, all right. By unanimous consent, Leon, you're now the vice chair. What? Ryan?
All right, and item 13 is information only, and item 14, legal session. Attorney Meller.
Chairman, can we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending and potential litigation?
Yes, sir. Do I have a motion to do this?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. All right, I have a second. Second. I have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Oh, do we stay here, or are we going to go to a room, or do we have to have everybody leave?
I think we should have everybody leave, because I don't have arrangements for committee session, and then when the executive session is over, we can let people back in.
Okay.
Don't leave him, Mrs. Barber. Mrs. Barber. Don't leave him.
Mr. Chairman, can we get a motion to exit the executive session?
Do I have a motion? Do we I need a motion?
So moved.
So moved. I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. 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 Any nays?
Chairman, can we get a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit?
A motion to amend the minutes of June and August 2024 with attached amended minutes, closed meeting affidavits. I have a second, a first and a second of this motion.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
You have a second?
A second.
All right, properly motioned and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand.
Any abstentions? Please raise your hand.
Mr. Chairman, can we get a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit?
Yes, may I have a motion to have a motion to close, have a closed meeting affidavit?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, have a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
Any opposed or any abstentions?
None opposed.
And that concludes the motions from the executive session.
Any other items on the agenda?
I believe that will conclude our proceedings for this evening.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Meeting's adjourned.
Back.